What most interests me and most excites me is following a thread and seeing how that weaves things together. So for example, the program that we did last year was on Dante. Very few people know that the world's most famous sculpture, the Thinker, was actually Rodin's depiction of Dante in the act of dreaming up the Divine Comedy. Well, once you learn that, you'll never look at that sculpture the same way again. But at the same time, to know that enriches your understanding for how Dante's vision of the Inferno has leapt across the centuries to ignite the imagination of countless artists, sculptors, writers, poets, and musicians. So to find the conversation that happens across history is one of the most important and exciting things I think we can do as people who are interested in an intellectual life. If I were to nominate one person to focus on, I would choose Ludwig van Beethoven. And that's first because he's been so important to me as a musician. His music has reached into my depths and inspired me from the time I was 5 years old, giving me hope in the middle of darkness, giving me possibilities when life seemed at its worst. But I would also choose him because of the incredible impact he's had upon the world. I think of the humanitarian impact, and for example, the students who in Tiananmen Square were facing down the tanks, and what they played was the Ninth Symphony. I think about how he became the catalyst for the Vienna secession movement, and how Gustav Klimt's Beethoven frieze illuminated aspects of both the Ninth Symphony and the history of alchemy. I think about how Beethoven was the beacon of inspiration and hope for the poet T.S. Eliot, and how in fact Beethoven's late quartets provided the germ of inspiration for T.S. Eliot's great poetic masterpieces, the Four Quartets. And it goes on and on and on. For musicians, there is no figure who looms larger. Franz Schubert's dying wish was to be buried at Beethoven's feet. Robert Schumann's last act before he died was to walk from the insane asylum in Bonn and lay a wreath of flowers at the memorial statue of Beethoven. So he has been this beacon of inspiration and hope across the centuries. And I think that in our time, we need to claim figures who do that, who show us the progression from tragedy to triumph, who take whatever they are dealt with in life, whether it's an abusive childhood, which is what Beethoven had, or physical disability with deafness, or sheer isolation and loneliness and heartbreaking despair. And don't stop there, but use that as the beginning for an exploration. What the humanities are so good for, what the arts are essential for, is to give form to our deepest longings, but also to transform, to transmute the terror, fear, despair that we experience in the depths of the darkness as human beings, and to turn them into something beautiful.